Hello students, welcome in our second video of the same chapter exogenetic process. After learning about mechanical weathering, let's continue with the second type of weathering, and that is chemical weathering. Now, what do you mean by chemical weathering? Something related to chemical. Okay. Now weathering occur because of the chemical reaction happening within the rocks. This type of weathering is called as chemical weathering. So, there is some kind of chemical reaction taking place. Water plays an important role in chemical weathering, and that is a reason why chemical weathering is more dominant in heavy rainfall area in humid climatic condition. We have learned that the rock is a mixture of many minerals and water is a universal solvent. Now, when we say that the universal solvent, it means simply that there are many things which get dissolved in water very easily. So, we say that the water is a universal solvent. Now, in this water comes in contact with the rocks, what happened? There are many water soluble minerals which are present in the rocks. So, these water soluble minerals dissolve in the rainwater and the solution forms. We have learned the solution effect here. Understood this much? So, we have a new solution which is formed. This solution has water plus water soluble minerals of the rocks. Now, ultimately this solution has more dissolving capacity as compared to water. The solubility of the solution increases because the matter or the mineral have dissolved in this water. All those materials and all those minerals which will not be dissolving in the water very easily, they will get dissolved in the solution very nicely and very effectively. One such example is the rock of limestone. In areas that receive heavy rainfalls, chemical weathering occur in many ways. One such way is carbonation process. Now, what is this process? Let's understand in detail. The rainwater travels through the atmosphere before reaching to the ground. In simple words, we have droplets of water existing in the atmosphere, and there is a carbon dioxide present in the air. When these carbon dioxide which is present in the air get mixed with droplets of water, in this process it leads to formation of dilute carbonic acid. But this dilute carbonic acid is present in the water vapor and water droplets present in the atmosphere. Now, when it rains, what will happen? These dilute carbonic acid will comes down with the rainwater. There are many materials, for example limestone, which do not get dissolved in water easily. They will get dissolved in such kind of acid, and this will lead to weakening or breaking of such type of rocks like limestone. So, this process of weathering is known as carbonation. Because here is a chemical reaction is taking place, that is water plus carbon dioxide has led to formation of dilute carbonic acid in the atmosphere. When this comes down with the rainwater droplets, it breaks down rock like limestone. This process is carbonation. Now students, let's begin with the solution. The process of solution continues beyond the process of carbonation. What do I mean by that? Students, as you can see here, there are many holes, cracks and crevices which have formed in the limestone rocks. Now, there is a solution which accumulated in these holes. Now, the solution is nothing but the solution which is formed due to reaction of water, dilute carbonic acid as well as limestone which is dissolved in. This solution which is formed as a result of it is calcium bicarbonate solution. Now, when this solution travels through the rocks until it reaches the edge, and when this edge is nothing but the roof of a cave, then the solution will drip down. When the solution drips down, it comes in contact with the air and the water which is present in the solution evaporates. So, ultimately what is left behind is calcium bicarbonate. And here the proportion of calcium bicarbonate is much more, and hence we say that the calcium bicarbonate precipitate back into the limestone. Now these water drips down and we have columns of limestone which are formed from the base of the cave. We call them as saligamite. And if the calcium bicarbonate accumulation from the roof columns move downward, then we call them such limestone precipitation as saligatite. This process is known as precipitation. Because here the limestone is getting precipitated, limestones form due to the chemical precipitation between water and alkali, and this is seen at Vadgaon Darya in Ahmednagar district of state of Maharashtra. Here the limestone get precipitated chemically, that is, it undergoes chemical weathering again. Now why do we say it undergoes chemical weathering again? Because the chemical weathering happens twice. One in the form of carbonation and second in the form of solution. Similarly, because of solution, that is because of this chemical precipitation reaction, the rocks which are formed here are very brittle. After learning about solution, let's move on to the second type of chemical weathering, and that is oxidation. Now this process occurs in the rocks which have iron present in them. So, there is a high proportion of iron mineral present in the rocks. Now, when these irons comes in contact with the water, then there is a chemical reaction which takes place between the iron and the oxygen. Hence, a reddish color layer is formed on the rocks. As you can see here, this is called as rust. So, because of the reaction between the iron and the oxygen, we have chemical weathering process taking place, that is oxidation. This makes the rocks very weak. Now, this type of chemical weathering is mostly seen in the areas where the rocks have more proportion of iron contained in it. Along with that, in areas where there is high amount of rainfall. Let's move on to the third type of weathering, and that is biological weathering. Yes, we have learned biological weathering occur because of living organisms. So, besides mechanical and chemical weathering, there are many biological factors which are responsible for breaking or weakening of the rocks. We might have seen such kind of scenes when we go
palaces
around ancient forts. The pieces of the rocks are separated because of the roots of the trees. As the roots of the trees grow bigger and bigger, the tension is created in the rocks, and finally the rocks break down. These kind of weathering because of living organisms is known as biological weathering. And not only trees, there are many animals and living organisms which are responsible for biological weathering. For example, in this image, the ants are making ant hill. Also, there are many animals like rat, mice, rabbit, other worms, insects. They dig the ground, they make burrows in the ground. These animals are known as burrowing animal, and it is because their activity of burrowing ultimately the weathering of the rocks takes place. So, these are all responsible for the biological weathering. Besides these, algae, moss, lichen and other plants, that is other flora which survive on the rocks, which grow on the moisture of the rocks. They also in their own small way help in the weathering of the rocks. These were all factors which led to biological weathering. After learning about the weathering and three most important types of weathering, let's move on to the next topic, and that is mass movement or mass wasting. When weathered material or broken material starts moving down the slope of the mountain because of their gravity, these weathered material will then ultimately accumulate at the foothills of the mountain or on the gentle slope. The weather particles ultimately form conical heaps at the foothills of the very base of the mountain. So, when broken particles move down the slopes, only and only because of gravity, not because of internal movements of the earth, then such processes are called as mass wasting or mass movement. Mass movements occur in two ways. The very first is fast movement. We call them it as rapid mass movements. Now, these will usually occur in regions that having steep slopes, where the second type of movements are slower mass movements and occur on the gentle sloping areas. Let's learn in detail about rapid and slow mass movements. Let's begin with the first with rapid mass movement. In many places throughout the surface of the earth, a thick layer of the weathered material forms on the slope of the mountain. Now, when it rains in such areas, rainwater penetrates in the weathered material and the weight of the entire weather material increases. Now, because there is a steep slope, here the weather material moves very rapidly and comes down the slope. These type of movements is called as rapid mass movements. Such type of a rapid mass movement occurred in the mudslide at Malin village in Pune district of Maharashtra. Another method of rapid mass movement is in the form of slumping, where the weathered material does not move downward. Rather, it will simply sink, as you can see here in the image, in the same place, that is in situ. This process is known as slumping process. Let's move on to the slower mass movement. Now, these will usually occur in dry climatic condition. So, slow mass movements occur in areas with dry climate. Now, these will usually occur in dry climatic condition as well as it occurs in areas of gentler slopes. One such phenomena is soil creep. Now, what do you mean by soil creep? Soil creep is nothing but downslope movements of earth and material under the influence of gravity. This image can clearly explain what do we mean by soil creep. Second method of slow mass movement happens in the form of solifluction. Now, what is this solifluction? It happens in periglacial region. This region which are under frost condition, which have 0 degree temperature. So, the region where glaciers are formed, periglacial regions along the slopes because of the movement of the soil. Now, here, because of the temperature are below 0 degrees Celsius, the lower layer of the soil is permafrost condition. The upper layer of soil has minimum water quantity, and since it is wet, it gently slides down the slopes. This leads to such kind of formation along the mountains. This is called as solifluction. After learning about weathering, let's move on to the second exogenetic process, and that is erosion. Now, what do you mean by erosion? It is simply wearing away of the rock by different agents. So, here the weathered materials will be eroded by agents. Like weathering and mass movements, erosion is also an external process. That is, it occurs on the surface of the earth, and this happens because of various agents. The very first agent is wind. Wind hits the rocks material, the rocks ultimately breaks down, and this weathered material is then transported, deposited by these same agents, and that is wind. Another important agent is running water, and another important agent which lead to erosion is glacier, sea water, as well as even groundwater leads to erosion. Student, I hope till here you have understood, and with this our third chapter is completed. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.